What's up, YouTube? This is Seltzertronics, and I am the Seltzertron. Today, I am here to review the very nice Bose QC35ii. Now, I know what you're thinking. What kind of audiophile is he? Did he just say Bose and very nice in the same sentence? Yes, I did. And that's part of the problem and why I am doing a review of the QC35. I don't think they've been given their fair shake. Why? Well, there's the whole Bose thing. Audiophiles and Bose just don't mix, right? No highs, no lows, must be Bose. We love to say these things. We love to hate on Bose, and I don't feel that that's always justified. Now, how come audiophiles hate Bose? Well, I think there's at least a couple of reasons. First is Bose tends to make lifestyle products for people who, well, they're not audiophiles. They're your regular consumer, somebody who wants better sound than what might come out of their television, but also doesn't want their living space defined by speakers and acoustics, right? They make headphones for people who don't necessarily just listen to their headphones on their nice Ergonos recliner with 500-gram headphones plugged into a 35-pound headphone amplifier, right? They make headphones for people who are a different use case. Right, but even us audiophiles, I think, have use for this kind of a product. So I'm going to review it from that aptitude, and I think I'll do something maybe a little bit different compared to some of the other reviews out there. So basically, I think these things have not been evaluated fairly on their merits, and to evaluate them fairly, we need to consider what they are and what they are not. First, they are travel and style cans designed with the terms of portability in mind. That means that at a given price point, they have to do a lot more than regular old headphones. Now, for example, let's talk about these somewhat similarly priced headphones, either the Shure SRH 1540. Inside the cup here is a driver and maybe some damping material and whatever else the Shure engineers thought might make for a great sounding headphone. Inside the cup of the Bose QC35s, you have batteries, you have a wireless transceiver, you have some kind of embedded processor and memory to do the kinds of computation necessary for all of its functions. It has microphones for recording your voice, as well as ambient sound, and a analog to digital converter for taking that information and putting it in a digital form that it can use to do the DSP necessary to generate a counter waveform of whatever ambient noise it's trying to cancel out. It has a digital to analog converter, obviously, because it receives a digital signal from your source. And then it has its own amplifier because it has to be its own amplifier. Plus all the little doohickeys and buttons and so forth. And it has to fit that all inside the cup. Of course, it's going to affect sound quality. You'll also notice that, well, they're not ginormous. That's a lot of stuff to fit in a tiny cup. So it has to be very tiny, and it has to be light. Again, because these things are designed for portability. So obviously, compromises needed to be made over at Bose that did not need to be made over at Shure. So in this price range, about $300-ish in the wireless active noise cancellation category, my personal opinion, I think there are really only two options, the QC35ii and the Sony WH-1000XM3. Maybe you can make a case that the Sennheiser PXC550 is a distant third, but honestly, I think these two headphones are pretty much in a category of their own. So in terms of features and design, it's obviously wireless. It does have a headphone jack, a 3.5 millimeter. No, actually, I think it's 2.5 millimeter. And it goes to, and you have obviously a 3.5 millimeter cable that it comes with to 2.5 millimeter. I don't know why. I mean, it's nice that it's there, but you're never going to use it. This is a wireless headphone. It's made to use wireless anyways. It supports the AAC over Bluetooth protocol. AAC is pretty solid. It does sort of a problem if your source files are also compressed. So then you might be double compressing, especially if you're not compressing from AAC. So if you have your files in MP3 and then you're recompressing to AAC, that can be bad. So as long as you're streaming lossless files, AAC 256 is actually pretty good, right? That's going to get you really close to CD quality. It doesn't support LDAC and it doesn't support aptX, which is, again, I mean, it's not a huge problem really, because it's Bluetooth audio anyways, right? Remember, you're just using a tiny little DAC and a tiny little amp inside the ear cup anyways, so it's not like the very finest details of lossless audio are super important in this kind of listening situation anyways. So AAC is pretty good, and obviously all the Apple phones support it, and most new Android phones support that too, so you're pretty good on that front. It has lots of buttons. It has volume control right here, easily accessible from the right side. And then on the left side, it has another little button. There it is right there, which controls the active noise cancellation either on or off and low or high. Now, the way active noise cancellation works is that it generates a counter wave that's supposed to cancel out whatever kind of ambient noise is happening in your environment, because what you hear is the sum of all of the waves. Yeah, the negative wave, it adds a negative to a positive and it cancels out. The problem with that is that sometimes if you're a little too aggressive in what you try to cancel out, you may accidentally cancel out something that is a relevant part of the music and thereby decrease sound quality. So it has a low setting and a high setting. The low setting is less aggressive than the high setting, and as long as you're not in a very loud situation, could result in slightly improved sound quality. And then, of course, you have the off setting, which applies no noise cancellation at all. A travel can also needs to be comfortable and light. The Bose has a very nice, soft, very resilient ear pad. It's covered in a nice, soft, and cushy protein leather. My maybe only complaint in terms of the comfort is that the sort of vertical axis right here is a little bit small for my ears. For most people, especially women, I think that the ear hole size will be fine and they will be comfortable for a very long period of time, which again is critical when you're traveling and just wearing these about your life. It has the top band has a sort of a suede memory foam pad. There are no hotspots. It feels great all around. If I close my eyes and forget, I might forget that I'm even wearing headphones at all. That's how comfortable they are. Okay, so let's talk about performance. Now, when you're talking about the performance of the QC35, the first thing you need to talk about is the active noise cancellation. This is not a secondary bonus feature of the headphones. It is literally the point of them. So let's talk about that first. In terms of just general ambient noise reduction, you're looking at between 25 and 30 decibels, which is pretty huge. Pretty much only the Sony 1000X M3s gets in that neighborhood. There are some closed IEMs that will also approach that level of isolation, particularly things like the Etymotic earphones, which are the ones that have the pencil tip sized things that you jam down your ear hole, and I will simply not use because they're horrifying. So with these, you not only get the comfort of not having something shoved down your ear hole, you can wear it for hours on a flight, whereas, I don't know about that with the CIEMs. And you have a more linear cancellation spectrum, right? So in terms of noise cancellation, there's simply no substitute for active noise cancellation. And in that category, the Sonys and the Bose are pretty much champs. Sonically, well, they lack bass extension. They are a bit boomy in the upper bass and muddy on through the lower mids. They lack treble extension, but nothing's particularly offensive or off-putting, right? I mean, everything's kind of rolled off. There's not really a whole lot of sibilance, not really a whole lot of brightness or harshness. It's just kind of gently rolled off. And, well, you're fine. Where it really shines is in the mids and the upper mids. And, as they say, the mids are where the music is. You can still have a very pleasant experience of warm and forward vocals, especially strings and female voices can sound really nice. And, when you pop these bad boys on and activate the noise cancellation and your world is suddenly quiet and now you're just alone with some magnificent voice, it is heavenly. Now, if I were to compare these with your standard closed wired headphone, where's like the equivalent level of performance? Obviously not something like the Shure SRH 1540, which is maybe equivalently priced. So I don't know, I'm thinking maybe something around $100 or so. In terms of just raw audio performance, I'd say they're roughly equivalent to a headphone, a closed wired headphone, and costing between maybe $100, maybe up to $130, depending on what it is you're listening to. I think I'd probably rather have the Audio-Technica ATH M40X, ultimately just strictly in terms of sonic performance. But, again, it's a very different product, but I put it in that ballpark. Now, taken together, just about nothing out there will sound as good when you're sitting 15 meters away from the jet engine of a Boeing 737. I don't care how good your isolating foam tips are or how good your passive isolation is, in your over-ear cans. Nothing will perform the Bose class-leading ANC technology or Sony's equivalent. Here's what I think needs to emphasize this. The ambient noise of a commercial passenger jet aircraft is about 85 decibels. That means whatever details are in your music have to be at least 85 decibels to be heard, assuming, just an open headphone. 95 decibels is about the point of the threshold of pain, right? That's when it's going to start hurting and you're like, yeah, okay, that's too loud. I'm going to have to walk that back a little bit. 85 decibels, 95 decibels, that's about 10 decibels of dynamic range, right? Which means if you're setting your volume based upon the loudest sounds of whatever it is you're listening to, the quietest sounds you can hear are only going to be about 10 decibels below that. Anything else is going details, all those not even just low level details, but sort of moderate low or even medium level details are going to be lost. This is especially problematic if you're listening to very dynamic music with very high dynamic range scores and so forth. Maybe with the worst, most dynamically compressed stuff from the 90s, maybe it's okay. But for audiophile kind of music, all those details are going to be lost. Now, when you activate that 30 decibel active noise cancellation and suddenly it's just all those details that you were missing suddenly are, as the noise floor drops, suddenly all those details become apparent, right? On an airplane, would I rather listen to these or would I rather listen to, I don't know. What's even better than this? A nice pair of Mr. Speaker's Ether Flow Cs. Wonderful, wonderful closed headphones. I imagine I'm sitting on an airplane with my Ether Flow closed headphones powered by a Hugo 2 amp, and oh my God, boy, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Not on an airplane, right? On an airplane, I'd still rather have these. Plus, oh my God, can you imagine dealing with all those cables and all those wires and all those devices in an airport while you're getting, chased by the TSA? Right? This is the way you want to go. In conclusion, I'm an audiophile, and wireless ANC is the only way to fly. In that game, you got Bose QC35ii and the Sony 1000X M3s. Personally, I prefer the Sonys, but when you account for style and comfort, the individual preferences are going to be outweighing any of the real differences between the two. I wholeheartedly recommend these, or at least that you take a look at them if you're looking to purchase this kind of equipment. All right, so I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. This is Seltzertronics, and I'll see you next time.